Corded Books presents Desolation Creek by William W. Johnstone and J. A. Johnstone. Narrated by Jack Garrett. Chapter 1. When a bullet zipped past Smoke Jensen's ear, leaving a hot crimson streak in its wake, he had a realization. Trouble sure had a way of following him. He hadn't come to Big Rock with anything on his mind other than taking care of his business, maybe saying hello to a few friends, chief among them Sheriff Monty Carson and Louis Longmont, and then getting on back to the Sugarloaf. Of course, his wife Sally had it in mind to do some shopping, but that was harmless enough, except for the damage it did to his pocketbook. So no reasonable explanation existed as to why he found himself smack dab in the middle of a shooting scrape. Or rather, another shooting scrape. The last thing he wanted was trouble. He wasn't the type to just stand idly by when bullets were flying, though. He might catch one of them. Or worse, innocent folks might get shot. So he drew his Colt with lightning speed and took aim at the man who had just emerged from the general store. A wisp of powder smoke still curled up from the muzzle of the gun in the man's fist. He had already shifted his focus elsewhere after firing that first round. Evidently, he caught Smoke's movement in his peripheral vision and turned his attention back in that direction. He leveled his weapon and sneered. "I wouldn't," Smoke said. The warning fell on deaf ears, and the man's finger twitched, ready to squeeze off another shot. Smoke's keen eyes saw that, and his gun roared first. The bullet hammered into the fellow's chest, sending him backward as his feet flew from beneath him. He landed flat on his back. His fingers went slack, and he released the revolver. Smoke ran to the gun and kicked it away. One quick glance told him the gesture hadn't been necessary, although erring on the side of caution was always better. A scarlet ring was spreading on the man's dirty, tattered shirt. Dull, glassy eyes, with the life fading from them, stared up at Smoke. "Who in the—" Smoke began, wanting to know who he had just shot and why. He didn't have time to finish the question, as another shot rang out from inside the general store. "Sally," he said, working to rein in the worry he felt rising in his chest. He swung his gun up while quickly stepping away from the dead hombre, who lay sprawled out in the middle of the street. Eager to check on his wife, who'd gone inside the store a few minutes earlier, Smoke was about to close the gap between himself and the structure when the door flew open again. Another gunman burst onto the store's porch, spinning wildly as if trying to assess his surroundings, but not moving cautiously enough to gain a true lay of the land. This gave Smoke all the time he needed to dive behind a water trough. He reached the cover just in time as the panic-stricken gunman sent two wild shots into the air. As far as Smoke could tell, no one was hit. Most of the folks who had been on the boardwalks or in the street had scrambled for cover when the shooting started. Just who was this fella, and what was he all fired up about? Maybe, Smoke thought, he could end this without any more bloodshed. He didn't care for the fact that a fresh corpse was only a few feet away. Smoke didn't hesitate to kill when necessary, but he didn't take any pleasure in it. If he had his way, he'd never be mixed up in gunplay again. Smoke rested his arm on the trough and drew a bead, his hand steady, his aim sure. "Put that gun down," he called. "No one else has to get hurt, or worse." A few townspeople were hustling around, trying to get out of the line of fire. Two old men who'd been sitting on a bench, enjoying the shade the boardwalk's overhanging roof offered, dove off the side and onto the ground. Smoke had to chuckle, realizing the impact had probably jarred the old-timers. They were in one piece, though, and didn't have any bullets.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.